Lunch break is over and we're back with live action here in the sunshine of Snetterton. F4 British Championship round 9. Let's go straight to our commentators, Jade Edwards and Richard John Neal.
Thanks very much, Steve. Yeah, car's already on the green flag lap here, and we're ready to see if pole position man Alex Ninovic can convert that pole position into win. Here's how they line up. Alex Ninovic with Deegan Fairclough Championship leader alongside Joel Bergstrom and Jack Sherwood next from Reza Sewardhan and James Higgins on row 3. Fourth row, Rowan Campbell-Pilling and Ella Lloyd. Then it's Mika Abrahams and our earlier race winner, Yampu Sway. Leo Robinson next up from Martin Molnar on row 6, row 7, Abby Pulling and Zach Skula. Max Dodds is next from Chloe Chong. Then it's Kai Darianani on row 9 with Nina Gaidman, Alex Berg and August Raber, the grid completed by Yuhao Fu. So we had a cracking race earlier on, which was the partially reversed grid. This one sees the man who set double pole position up front, Alex Ninovic, who is second in the championship, but 47 points down on Deegan Fairclough, who lines up on the outside of the front row. So Deegan is going to be going for it to try and grab the lead as they head down into turn 1. Immediately behind them, it's Joel Bergstrom, who qualified very well, and Jack Sherwood. No, not much more time for build-up because already the lights are on here at Snetterton. Away we go. It's a good start by Ninovic. Fairclough looks like he's going to slot into second position. I think third and fourth getting away well too. But Deegan Fairclough taking the battle to Ninovic, goes wide here to try and get the run, possibly down into the hairpin for the first time. But Ninovic for the Rodin team against the high-tech man who's going to have a look. He's having a dive. Is Deegan Fairclough. Can't quite do it. It's Jack Sherwood in third place, side by side with Reza Sewardhan in the 4, going around the outside, side by side for the lead. Now the wrong side of the track is Fairclough. He's hanging it around the outside here at Palmer, and therefore it's Ninovic that will hold on, but there's a mistake from Ninovic over the curbs, and that leaves the door open. Fairclough's on the grass. He smashes through the sign. He's lost the lead, but he's coming back on. He's got a little bit of signage on the car. He's got wing damage, and Fairclough was gunning for the lead. Jay, that was not what we expected to see.
No, we've just seen another car off in the background. They've been turned around onto the grass, so that is a very entertaining or a dramatic opening lap. But Deegan just squeezed onto the grass. He tried to make the move. In my opinion, looked like he had an overlap and was just given no room, but that'll be a trip to the pit lane for him, no doubt.
Yeah, Deegan is going to be furious about it. He was so fired up yesterday in qualifying and upset that he was, I think he was down in 4th, which, wasn't actually that bad. Here's a replay. Let's see what happened.
So he's gone around the outside there and then done a switchback and got a good run because the driver ahead ran wide, and he's just squeezed onto the grass. And as we remember, we've had rain this morning, so as soon as you're on that grass, you can see his tyres glistening. He'll have no grip on the grass at all, and to me, it was a defensive move. He's come across the track, but he's just given the driver no space at all.
Yeah, Deegan had momentum, didn't he, coming out of Palmer, as you said, and with that little mistake by Ninovic running wide, we're going to get a safety car, so we had to take stock of what's got on there. And I think we also lost Joel Robinson in that as well, a 33 car. So Joel out of it as well, but it just gives us the wet race this morning. We were saying we were going to get a safety car earlier on, and obviously it's not 100% bone dry out there now, but it's we get the safety car in that. This is a fine field that we have of cars and drivers here. Ninovic it's going to be a pit stop, isn't it, for Deegan? And I was going to make the point saying how he's going to be furious about that, because he was yesterday, didn't want to talk to everybody immediately after qualifying, and it's difficult for these youngsters. This is where they're learning their trade, and what do you do if someone shoves a mic in your face? And I know generally the people are quite polite about it and will have a word. That's Joel Robinson, who is Leo Robinson, I beg your pardon. So here's a replay of the start, and Ninovic got away well, and Deegan slots into second, but he'll take a wide line, won't he, around turn 1 to try and get the momentum into the hairpin.
Yep, he got an initial good start, and he's now trying to think of ways to go past Alex, but there's an element of Deegan as well, who is leading the championship by a substantial amount for this stage of the season, and sometimes you'd think maybe he'd sit in second for a half a lap or two, but Deegan's not like that. He wants to fight for the wins. We saw his emotion yesterday when he was angry after qualifying, and there's an element of which, as you go through your career, you learn how to control those emotions, and you know, play the long game a little bit. This will really hurt Deegan in his championship fight, but no doubt he'll learn a lot from it, and he's got the pace, he's got the racecraft. It's just one of those areas where, you know, will he look back on that and think, maybe I should have played it safe a little bit longer rather than fighting straight on the first 3 corners.
Look at that shot. We've got the storm coming. You're absolutely right. And the key word from what you were saying is about learning. These drivers take every little bit of experience that they can from here. Weather-wise, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I think our director crew is telling us that's heading this way. Whether it's going to happen in this race or not, as the rescue operation for Robinson's car, Leo Robinson, was youngest driver in the championship, 15 in February, will be recovered. So disappointment for him. Fairclough in the pits. The good thing with a long lap, if they can sort something out, obviously the guys at Hi-Tech who are leading the team's championship at the moment, they're quick, they'll be able to hopefully get a wing fitted for him and get him back out, and he might be able to pick up a few places, maybe get into the top 10, which is where the points are. Yeah,
it'll all depend on where he gets out, how much they have to actually fix in the pit lane, and whether he can stay on that lead lap, because obviously if he drops too far behind, it doesn't matter how many overtakes he makes. If he's a lap down, then it won't make any difference. All he can hope there is maybe some of the other cars don't finish the race, and he sort of benefits from that. But yeah, an interesting start to the race, but entertaining nevertheless. These guys never fail to put on a good show for us viewers.
Yeah, cracking championship. Very, very, very strong entry, as we've said before. And it's the choice of a lot of drivers to come in. You know, when we were talking to them at the start of the season, the various test events and media events that we did, and the answers vary as to why people come into this championship. A lot of people say it's the highest profile. Some say it's the best value for money for track time. And here's another look at the incident here. So watch the car now leading, goes wide, little mistake, comes back on Deegan, thinks he's got that momentum, and as you said, I think he had the overlap there.
I think, you know, Deegan was on the outside going into turn 3, and he actually dropped in behind Alex, but Alex then ran wide on the exit, which then gave Deegan, as we can see, the overlap. Now for me, yes, he's not maybe fully alongside, but he's enough there to be able to give him room. You cannot just drive to the white line and hope a car disappears. Deegan can't just disappear in that moment. That's my opinion on it. I think that maybe there should have been a little bit more respect there given. But yeah, nevertheless, that was a trip to the pits for Deegan.
That's Leo Robinson, who is off in one of the JHR cars, and that's the reason we got the safety car here at Snetterton, to sort that out. But going back to Deegan, Trevor Williams will have to sort it out. Again, we refer to the clerks of the course, who have such a very, very difficult job to do. And Trevor's a great guy. Actually, all of the ones that we have on the Toka package, absolutely top line. And the decisions may not go your way as a driver. You have to state your case, though, don't you?
Absolutely. And I actually know Trevor because he used to do the Clio Cup Championship, which I obviously raced in for a few seasons. And, you know, Trevor and I, it's all about how you present your side of the story to the clerk of the course, along with the footage they have. And this is what these drivers will also be learning, is how you speak to the clerk of the course, and you respect them, because that's what they need. They're essentially a referee, like you get in football. So you play the game with them as well and work with them. And if they learn your personality and learn how you go about your racing, they're able to actually judge incidents a little bit differently with how you drive normally to maybe the incident occurred on track at that time. So we just see a very sad, lonely driver there, just watching the car being saved off of the track. And I know that feeling when you stood there. You're a long way from the paddock, and you don't really want to trudge back. But yeah, your weekend sort of over, day done early, which is not the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, not good for Leo. Having lost a lap, though, Deegan Fairclough. Now, you're probably wondering why he's coming out. A, it's a good test exercise, but B, what he could do here, particularly if he gets clear track, is go for the Motul fastest lap point, and that single point could come in handy a little bit later on.
Yeah, how many times have we seen championships come down to 1 point at the end of the year? So any points on the table, Deegan will now go out and try and get that fastest lap. He'll also, like you said, test the car a little bit. They try a few things and just see how it gets on. But like we've seen, there can be other incidents. So if he finishes, he classifies, and others don't, you never know how far up the order he can go.
Up go the Brollies. I'll tell you what, there might be, he's not going to pull back a lap even if we get a soaking track, but spits and spots starting to appear on the circuit. Deegan, a Crawley boy, by the way. I know that everyone down in the town delighted with their playoff success recently. I know we probably shouldn't witter on about football, but passionate football town, and my history with them. Lots of waves going on as everyone sees themselves on the big screens, and
looks like there is
crowd.
some rain coming down now, which all we know is the F4s are obviously on their slick tyres. So if a rain cloud comes over during this race, that could make things very, very interesting. I mean, they had a wet race this morning, but they were obviously on the correct tyre for that. So this is where, if it does become wet on the circuit, this is where we will see a real contrast of experience and ability come into play.
And if we get a deluge, the officials will stop the race, because safety, of course, is absolutely paramount. You want cars going into each other, and we'll see some try. It did look a little bit grim, didn't it, cloud-wise, coming in.
Yeah.
Lights are out on the safety car, so Scott Stringfellow and Kieran, who helps him out, will bring the car into pit lane. So let's just take stock of where we are. We've got Alex Ninovic leading this one, with Jack Sherwood from 4th on the grid up into 2nd, and then it's James Higgins and Joel Bergstrom, who I spoke to at Brands, and he was really fed up at Brands with how he qualified, but he's doing really well, and he's a rookie, so he's a first-year car driver, Joel Bergstrom, as we look at Sherwood hassling his teammate here. So they're going to be keen to, and we've got Higgins in 3rd. So at the moment we had a high-tech 1-2-3 at Brands Hatch. Are we looking at a Rodin 1-2-3 here?
As it stands, yes, we've got a lot of weave-in by the leader there, not so much by P2, so it'll be interesting to see how this first lap, or a first lap under safety car, goes. But he's gone for it now and seemingly got a really good restart, already pulled a big gap, and if he can just hold that through the first 3 or 4 corners, that could be the winning gap that he needs.
Yeah, great start by Alex Ninovic. Read it well as he came out on Murray's and up the hill. A couple of changes, I think, a little bit further back, but Ninovic looking to make it a double, which is, as I said in race number 1, it's a common occurrence in F4. You normally get the same driver getting a couple of wins off the front. We missed a race last year. It was run later on in the year because there was an incident in one of the earlier races, but Sherwood 2nd, then Higgins, challenge on for 3rd place, with Bergstrom coming under pressure from the first of the high-tech cars, Reza Seaworthen. Rowan Campbell-Pilling next up. That is a problem for Kai Darianani, one of the 3 high-tech cars. Kai moving over from Virtuosi this season. There he is. Had a really good, strong result in race number 1, but the car not playing ball. Yeah,
that's a real shame to see. You know, a car slowing down mid-race is not ideal. So again, another car that's heading for the pit lane, and Deegan probably benefit from.
Well, we're hearing there's a lightning storm on the way, so it's a little bit of a worry for everybody. But Ninovic out front is going to get his first lap following the safety car inclusion. Comes down the Bentley straight in lead position. He's going to be less worried, I guess, having his teammates behind him. They all pay their entry fees and they're all gunning for wins, but generally you think that as a teammate with you, there's going to be a little bit more respect, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the team rule, is that you can always race hard, but you have to race respectfully, and that's paramount within the team, because you have to spend a lot of time with these drivers, and also you're representing, you know, Rodin or the other teams that are around, so you have to respect your teammate. But they're all youngsters and they're all racing drivers and they all want to win, so sometimes that urge to win overrules the respect your teammate initiative.
Seaworthen and Bergstrom, the main battle at the moment, 3rd and 4th place, as we watch Ninovic come through again. The Rodin driver, based in Farnham, although Antipodean. His dad Sash will be here watching, and the Aussie drivers and New Zealand drivers love coming over and racing in British F4, as we said during the safety car period, considering this the Premier Championship. This is a move by the 23. Zach Skula makes a great move there.
Yeah,
and
really
past Alex Berg in the 48 car. Good move by Skula. And down behind him, a couple of cars back, his teammates, his XL Racing teammate, XL's first year in the championship, moving up from the UAE, where they're based and have done a lot of karting. And Zach and August Raber. This is interesting because Zach and August, we were talking about the racing against your teammates thing, and they're very nearly 4 apiece. Those 2 drivers, in terms of them, it's very evenly matched. Yeah,
and that's where it starts to get interesting, because like I say, there's always a race with respect within your team, but there comes an element of which, you know, you've got to go for what's best for you as a driver to get the most points and get the nearest championship position. So yeah, it's interesting to see how this all plays out. But I also want to let a quick mention to Max Dodds in P10 there. He's back racing again after a few years out. He started off in Ginetta Juniors and he's back in British F4 now, and a nice top 10 result would be a good end to his weekend.
He's doing well, isn't he, Max? Doesn't tend to let things get to him, as the XL driver has a look here at Ella Lloyd. Bounces over the curbs, and as a result, lost a little bit of control, tagged Ella Lloyd, and Ella, that's heartbreak for her.
Yeah, she's a complete victim of that there. Again, that sort of area of the circuit, it can be done. It can be overtaken opportunity, but not very much. We can just see the rain starting to come down here now. This is going to play a huge factor. And the difference here with the circuit being such a long lap, it could be raining on the start-finish line, which we can see out of our window, but it probably isn't out the back section. So they've got two elements of grip going on with this lap now.
Well, what's going to happen here as well, if the officials are looking at it, if they red flag it because it's not suitable conditions, then the result will go back a lap. We're starting to see drivers getting issues now. Got the number 5 car having problems at Mika Abrahams, but at the moment it's Ninovic out front. Now the issues are coming. I think this will get red flagged. The result will go back a lap, which is what you do when you get the stoppage, and that is potentially what will happen for safety. We've only got 5 minutes left. Cars going off left, right and centre now because they're on slick tyres. They can't come in and pit like F1.
I think we've just seen the red flag come out there. I think the difference here is that the rain hasn't gradually built up. It's literally dropped from nowhere. So the grip has gone from full slick tyre grip to absolutely none at all. Sometimes when it rains slowly, you can get away with it for a few laps because you adapt to it lap after lap. But this was a complete downpour, and it's caught a lot of drivers out. But thankfully, nothing more than maybe a spin or a trip to the grass. Nothing too serious at this stage.
That's it, and safety for the drivers. They've had, well, they had a lot of safety car, which was a little bit of a pity, but we got, as you can see, the red flag coming out with 5 minutes 38 on the clock, which is just over a quarter of the race left. And I can't remember whether it's 2/3 of the race or 3/4 for the full points, or to declare a result, but I suspect they will declare it. Possibly half points, which Deegan Fairclough would welcome with open arms, wouldn't he?
Absolutely, that would play into his hands. But
Fairclough did get the fastest lap, by the way, Jade.
Yeah, just on that last, just before the rain came down. So yeah, a little point for him there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because we were watching a really good little battle build up there and good action throughout. So shame the rain has put a stop to that. But like you say, safety is paramount, and this rain didn't just build up; it came from nowhere. So they've made the right call here for sure.
I think so too. I wonder if that means Ella Lloyd might potentially be back in the points as well if we take it back a lap. Here's that incident. So Zach Skula just clips the curb and lost enough control to tag into Ella. Yeah,
they actually looked like they were giving each other a good amount of room. Whew, that was a close call for the leader there. Yeah, like I say, going back to Ella's situation, they gave each other room, but he just clipped that sausage curb, which sent him into her, and nothing she can do at that point, unfortunately.
Max Dodd's getting stuck in it, was challenging Martin Molnar. And the other thing about Max is that you mentioned he's had a couple of seasons off. Well, there goes Zach off again.
Yeah, dropping a wheel. Yeah.
Doddsy had a couple of seasons away and comes into this as a single-seater rookie, but can't be a rookie contestant because he's raced in juniors before in cars, which is a shame. So it's worth putting his drive in perspective. And he would very nearly have been on the rookie podium there had he not been one. But there is Ella out of the car and okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to Max, he raced in juniors. He was very, very quick, very naturally quick, very focused. But for, I think, financial reasons, he's had a couple of seasons out. So I'm actually really impressed by his driving for a season back in one of these championships like this. If we just look at our window here, we have got huge rain coming down. Yeah, it's come from nowhere, but thankfully we're inside, Richard.
It has, yeah, we're very lucky about that. I think you've got to maybe go outside, which is not so good. I've got to as well. Look at that now. There definitely won't be a restart for 5 minutes because it will be a lap and a half or something like that in terms of the weather. But you can see absolutely correct, decisive stuff from the officials there before too much damage was done. We had a couple of spinners, but
they've actually held the cars at the top of the grid, which indicates that they were initially thinking about restart. Whether that's still the case, I'm not sure. If they were going to call checkered flag, they would have sent them into the pit lane, but it looks like they've called it now.
It does. Here's how things stood. Alex Ninovic taking the win from Jack Sherwood, and James Higgins in third place. Joel Bergstrom was next up from Reza Seaworth, and then Rowan Campbell-Pilling and Abby Pulling next up from Mika Abrahams. Martin Molnar completes the rookie podium, and then Max Dodds in 10th place. Johan Sway just off the podium in the rookies. He finished 11th, the winner of the previous race today. Ella Lloyd in 12th from Alex Berg. Zach Skula 14th from August Raber. And then Nina Gaben and Chloe Chong 17th. And issues of varying kinds for Deegan Fairclough, Leo Robinson and Kai Darianani. So that's... Oh, Yu Hao Fu, we also mentioned, had an issue as well for Virtuosi Racing. We now head with the cars to Alton Park. But before we do that, we need to take a quick look at how the championship standings are affected as we head to the next round. Cars are actually coming on towards the grid. You can see absolutely teeming down here. You feel at this point, not only for the spectators, but the teams and crews, you know, working so hard in all of the conditions to keep everybody safe, get everybody out, and yeah, absolutely the right thing to do for the F4 Championship.